Welcome to Future of Work 24 Hours Live. And we're at our last circle. And this is near the end of our event. I've been up over 24 hours now
Yeah,
because
like you're like April. April is in this level of delusional energy, and I'm less, but still in there. So if we look energetic, it's just on like it's on that whole sleep
I'm
deprived, but
running on
feeling really good
steam.
thing.
What are you running on?
Uh, finishing, like it's like it's only that far to go, but like there's a whole part of me that doesn't want it to end though as well. So it's kind of mixed feelings. I empathetically, I want you to be able to get some sleep is what I really want.
I'm hoping I can get some sleep. I still have like a day planned after this. I got to
What's
plan another event because,
oh
serial
yeah.
organizer,
Yeah.
right?
Like what could I do when this one finishes? I know, just organize another one for the whole day.
Yeah, I'm going to be organizing a Juneteenth event from another community that I started a few years ago, uh, and then I have my niece is in a play, so I'm going to watch her in Fiddler on the Roof today.
But you're not organizing the play, at least.
Oh no, I'm not.
What would a play look like if you organized it? If you organized a play like you organize, like you kind of organize Future of Work, what would it look like?
Ooh, that's a great question. It would probably be very arts infused, meaning that playful and leverage improvisation. I
Yeah,
would
it's like
try to
improv for sure.
bring the audience into it and co-create the play together live.
Uh,
How about you? What would you do?
well, I used to be like a sound and lighting tech and a stage manager. And I think I've changed a lot since then because that was all like it wasn't totally about structure, but it was like you sort of had you sort of wanted everything to run to time. So coming to these things, like I know we all had a chuckle at some point where someone was trying to ask what time things ended, and everyone who knows it was like end. It ends when it ends. And so like for me. Like that would be like from a stage management point of view, where you're trying to get to like the most valuable last band at the end on time. That is a really funny thing of just like imagine how wonderfully that chaotic that would be in a normal festival or something would be really funny. But I mean, so the fact that I can embrace open space, I feel like I've sort of like grown and changed a bit. So
Yeah.
mine would be, I don't know. Well, what I can't really think of what I would do. It'd definitely be music. Like I'm a musician, and so there would definitely be a lot of music. Improv is the best, like is one of the best parts of music, unless you're really bonded to a band and know it really well. So I think improv would be fun. But I think I would, I would probably have audience participation. Yeah, because I'm a facilitator more than I'm like anything else. I think so. For me, it would be working out how the audience sat into some awesome musicians because I really appreciate really skillful musicians.
I really appreciate music and work, and I try to bring that in and that lightheartedness because I think there's a lot of learning in music. So one question that I ask people often is, what's your heart song?
There's an Australian, like there's one song that I can't get away from. And I have lots of favorite music, but there's an Australian artist who's sort of he's an indigenous artist who's also really mainstream, but it's sort of just this really rootsy music, and his name's Xavier Wright, and he's got this song called "Follow the Sun," and like my favorite Australian bird is a magpie, and there's lots of stuff about magpies that are cool. They're really clever, but they're also one of the only birds that they think sing just for joy and pleasure. So they do this warble. They've got a really signature warble. You get up in the morning and, the sun's coming out and the magpies are warbling. And it's just one of my favorite things about living in Australia is that moment, especially if, sun through the trees and magpies singing just for joy. And he starts the song with like the magpies singing, and then he starts his song. And it's just this like really nice song about kind of just moving through the world in a really nice way. And I really like that. So that kind of every time that comes on, it's
a bit of the chorus. Could you sing that a little bit for us?
I'm not a singer. I'm a percussionist.
It's okay.
Well, I mean, it basically goes follow follow the sun, which way the wind blows when this day is done. And so it's sort of like reflecting on your day and where you've followed to, or where it's taken you, and thinking about that and tomorrow as well. So it sits nicely in the middle of all this for me.
How does that have meaning for you? Because that feels like it's definitely a heart song that it can be guide you, like follow the sun. What do you think about? How do you carry that with you as you work?
I carry it with me lots of ways because I'm a trail runner as well. So it's kind of like being out, like for me, there's the reality of actually kind of being outside and also what running in like forests and things does for me in my thinking about work too. So it kind of works for me a lot. But I mean, I think that in the work that we do, I mean, the way I do the practice of kind of organizational development, you know, is often in the middle of some really hard conversations with people where they might, you know, they're sort of having difficulty with something and they're trying to step forward into something good and often finding that hard, or, you know, they're learning something about themselves sometimes for kind of the first time, and just trying to make sure that you're like that warmth of like following the sun is always a part of you in the middle of those really difficult things. I think it's kind of, it's a bit of like a north on a compass a little bit, because sometimes sitting in the middle of this complexity can actually be really confusing. It's like, you know, am I doing my practice and am I always approaching these things, you know, hoping for better, but also trying to hold kind of empathy and compassion and kindness in the middle of that as well, which sometimes just can be really difficult.
Awesome. Welcome, Jeremy.
Hey,
this
Jeremy.
is a kind of drop-in Future of Work Live this time. And right now we're talking about music and work, and is there a heart song like that is your compass that maybe you carry with you? How about you, Jeremy?
Well, first and foremost, what's up, guys?
Hey, Jeremy. I had to say,
What's
I
up?
feel like you're gonna have some jams. I really want to hear what Jeremy's heart song is, because I feel like it's gonna be like really on point.
So right now I'm really focused on enablement, right? And creating opportunities that create opportunities, right? Possibilities that create possibilities. This sort of like upward spiral, and I do that by creating swales for human attention, right? I think this whole thing, right? Future of work, 24 hours is exactly it, right? You know, this open space is a swale for human attention, and it allows our thinking to seep into the landscape, which is us, right?
Mm. Yeah. So, what's the heart song?
What's the heart song? Oh man, fucking let it rip.
Is it Bob Marley and the Swailers?
The Bob Marley and the Swailers. You must be a dad, Dean.
Oh, so badly a dad. I'm so sorry.
Great, it's great. It's righteous. Yeah, it's my heart
He
song.
He felt that burn.
Yeah.
No. I feel it.
He just felt my dadness across the ocean. You know,
exactly.
Like,
it's like game
so many kilometers
game, buddy.
Welcome, Hamza. We're about to hear Jeremy's heart song.
My heart song.
Yeah. We're talking about music and work.
Oh, you want like an actual song?
Yeah, actual song.
Oh, In My Head by Tommy Guerrero.
How does that go? Could you sing a little bit of the chorus?
No, it's an instrumental, but I can play it.
Okay.
I have it queued
up.
I
thought you were about to like
grab the guitar and start. I thought you were gonna like play it on your thing.
Just a moment.
How does it go? Just use your voice so that we don't get pulled from YouTube.
Oh yeah, that's true. YouTube does not like to hear music, ironically.
Like the RS cited mine as you know, verse rather than actually music.
So you hear like instrumental music in your head, like for your compass.
Oh, all the time, because it just sets a vibe, right? So it's like, it's just super groove heavy, like it's and soulful, and not quite fast enough to dance to, but like perfect, just like, I mean, whenever you see me in calls like with a wicked head bob on, you know that I'm just fucking in that groove, right?
Okay. How about you, my friend Hamza? Is there a song that's your compass?
Well, I think we had this conversation and it changes every day. But today it is, I will survive again.
How does that go? How does that go for people who don't know? For people who
I
don't
I've
think
never heard that
everybody knows
song
that
before,
because-
Hamsa. How does it go?
Yeah, you definitely need to sing it.
No, I'm not gonna sing loud.
Jeremy has not
April
heard.
does this to everyone. April always has this like this hidden agenda of getting everyone to sing something, and it's like she's got to find 5 different ways across the whole event to try and get you to sing something. You know.
Just across.
April, what's your heart song?
After you give us a little bit of yours, I'll share mine, and I'll be happy to sing a little bit too.
See, blackmail is another way to try and get it.
Oh, I guess I'm just gonna, go without knowing what your heart song is. What about you, Dean? What is yours?
Oh, I said mine's an Australian artist called Xavier Wright. He writes just like super kind of really chill kind of roots music that's really kind of acoustic, but he sort of weaves in a bunch of land and animals and stuff as well. So like my favorite Australian bird is a magpie, and they actually they warble, they sing, just they don't really know why. They think they sing just for fun and for beauty. And so, but he's got this song where that's the start, and then he kind of goes into this nice song that kind of is a nice direction setter for me about kind of kindness and compassion and, reflecting on a day and what you want your next day to be. So that's mine. So but like, I need that song to talk directly to me. And I love the idea that Jeremy just has like a song for vibe. I think that's so cool that it's, like I really connect with like the lyrics and everything, and, and Jeremy doesn't want the words. He just wants that, a vibe. And I like that a lot. I think it probably says a lot about Jeremy.
For me, it's definitely the lyrics. Like if I'm working out, it's the vibe. Because I remember I had a friend who's like, have you heard the lyrics of this song? And I'm like, no, I just hear the beat, right? And then I like stop and listen. I'm like, oh, like
I do not endorse those lyrics.
I didn't know because I didn't hear it, right? Because it was about the beat and the vibe. But for a song that's like, it can be a compass for me. And it's been this way for the last 3 years. It's been the same song. And it's the breakup song by Francesca Balicelli. And it's about breaking up with fear.
How does that one go?
Yes.
Oh, good lead. Fear is a liar. That's how it goes. And it's quite,
I just want to come back to Jeremy's idea though of the swale, because that was super interesting. Because Jeremy, you said
totally misinterpreting the question. Yeah,
I have a thought about how Hamsa can I think we should do like a data project about your songs, because they change all the time, but obviously you got some that come back. So if you just tracked what yours is every day and just did like a little data plot, you'd actually get statistically a favorite song over time. So the next year when April asks you at some weird point in this conference, you can be like, well, actually I have a spreadsheet here of all
according to the data set.
And next time I'll be prepared with all of the data points. It's going to be an edit-based response.
And
Perfect.
Here we go. I got a better idea.
We're all about.
And if we use an oracle to upload that information to the blockchain, people can speculate on it, and you can tax their speculation.
Yeah.
Right.
So how do you use music in your work, people? I use it all the time.
My answer is not enough, for sure, for how I'm a musician, and my answer is I think I'm probably shy about creating moments for kind of music and things like that. I just think that often, I'm working in places and they don't feel quite playful enough or something yet, and if there's a moment to do it, if there's a moment to sort of, get someone on a piano and I'll get on a cajon or something, or there's a drum there, it's that's a moment, but it's very I feel like it's very infrequent for me. And I think it's probably something about me that stays away from that, unfortunately.
Yeah, I've used it for grounding. I've used it for silent brainstorming. And I think it all depends. Sometimes instrumental, sometimes with lyrics. It all depends on the theme, on why we're gathering.
I would have background music I mean, I do actually have background music playing right now. So in workshops, I literally I bring this speaker, and like we have background music the whole fucking time.
So you
That
have
is the
background
vibe.
music to talk to us right now. That's
Yeah.
very interesting.
It just makes everything infinitely more groovy. It's sort of like a cinematic effect, in real life, right?
So you're literally a movie, how when people move, there's a music track with them all the time. That's you, Jeremy.
Yeah. There's a radio station in my head, at least. Definitely.
Do you assign us all a song then? Is that like it's like April enters the room and there's a
when
song
she enters
playing?
the room, dun dun dun.
Or it's like some crazy good like funk jam or something, I don't know. Like what? It's like I'm really interested about what song, we have our heart songs. I'm really interested about what songs you would put with us.
Well, that's why you see he's vibing right now.
Yeah. That's just his general life vibe that he puts on, like I'm
exactly.
like what does he think
feels like a great this feels like
everyone's
a great
listening right
exercise.
now is like, I just want to hang out with that guy.
Yeah, I do too. I'm really glad I'm here.
Like we just get to be in your presence, Jeremy.
I mean, all I do that is my job. Is I hang out. That's all. I don't ever want to work. I just want to hang out. Just do stuff. See what happens.
Oh, wow.
But Dean, I like this invitation. Like, what's up, Hamsa?
I was just saying that's the future of work, which is potentially no work, right? We just hang out.
Universal basic income. Well, watch out for me.
People talked about like even just thinking about like, do we need to work, right? It's interesting. But Dean, you said you wanted to talk about something with me. What was that?
Oh yeah. So like I was out in the family circle before with Erin and Frank, and we were talking. They made a joke that they were like the help desk, and I sort of said something like, well, have you had to tell anyone to turn it off and on? Because that's like the standard troubleshooting for any IT help desk. It's like no one knows how to use a computer. Have you turned it on? Turned it off and on.
Is it plugged in?
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Or like those things. And I'm like, but like, then it made me think, like, because Erin said we should write a script. And it's like, what would the like common troubleshooting script be for like an open space? Yeah. It's like, what advice what is the most common advice you would give people in order to like solve the problems they have?
I have some that I give.
I want to really write these down just for fun.
So some of the ones is that for people new to open space, there is a need to control the space. And they're like, they want to like have everyone kind of adhere to like that bound of their control. And then like as a part of it is being sharing those principles in the law with them often to kind of rehone them, like, hey, think about it this way, like consider thinking about it this way, or like, hey, we need this thing, and creating giving them like, so what are you going to do about it, right? Just asking questions. So and then they actually go do those things.
If it had to be like a script that you actually gave to someone else to say to someone who is having control issues, what would the advice be? That like.
So normally it's a question, right?
Okay.
And it's not telling them what to do. It's giving them space to think about how might they look at it differently.
I'm really writing this down.
So yeah.
And I like that because it's like, for me, that's, often so much about open space is about having a different experience than we have in other parts, like what we normally experience in other kinds of structures. And so remembering that people bring that in with them to some extent too, if
Yeah.
it, particularly if it's your first time. And so it's like, this is an opportunity for you to practice something different or like approach something differently.
And some people really embrace it and it's freeing, like, oh, I can do whatever I want to. And they're like just loving it. The permission to be free and walk in their mobility with no expectations of themselves or others. And other people feel like they need control. And they may need, a little support there. And also sometimes I think an open space that we get a bias. Sometimes people think open space needs to be like their first experience with open space. And what I think is cool as we go through this one and we have circle after circle, everyone's different. And that's okay, and that's embraced. They don't need to be the same. It's a very loose container with and people can play with it, and that's okay.
And I mean, I've tried to be mindful of that for this one, with it being probably my third of these, maybe. But sort of being mindful about trying to work a little bit harder and stretch a little bit more about what kinds of topic, like there might be the most obvious way to open up a topic, and then there might be another like more playful or another more interesting way to sort of open something up, and playing around with what that does to how what kind of conversation comes out of it and stuff. And so I've had some fun trying to stretch a bit more into being a bit more creative with how you're engaging people around stuff. That's been fun for me this time.
Yeah, I love the experimentation that people have. I love the diversity in the openings and the share outs, and excited to see like what will happen at closing. One of the big sayings is prepare to be surprised. And that's probably a piece of advice, is give one of those classic open space sayings. Prepare to be surprised and invite them to show up with that expectation. Again, invitation.
Question that I get frequently from people is, should I host a session about something I want to tell people about, or something I want to ask people about? And my script for that is yes.
I believe open space is more fun and more engaging when we set aside ego and invite people in for a conversation, for exploration.
And this is such a liberating methodology that it can almost be pervasive even outside of like events and meetings or just unconferences, right? So it can even transfer into societies almost, just walking in your mobility and incorporating open space mindset at systemic levels outside of even specifically just meetings. Because I think again, it's what could that look like if just as individuals, as corporate citizens, or just citizens, we walk in our own mobility and we use the open space mindset to just go through life, not just within work, but just in how we behave outside of work as well. So I think that's interesting. So I was just talking with someone yesterday that we were making plans to go on a hike, and some of them couldn't make it, and some of us are like, okay, whoever shows up are the right people. And it's the open space mindset. It's just so I think that's interesting that it just doesn't have to be restricted or constrained to unconferences or meetings, but rather it can have effects, network effects outside of it as well.
Yeah, I know for me, like even with my kids, I've learned from like day one that like stuff happens. You plan stuff happens. People can't show up. Birthday parties. I never tell them who's coming. I'm like, whoever shows up are the right people. We had one, I remember, it's a birthday party where no one showed up. Everyone was like sick or something happened, but we had the best time. Like my husband and I was our oldest kid, and we had just the best time. It was like together, and we had like rented this like train thing, and he had so much fun. Um, and it didn't matter, right? We were the right people, and we've had that philosophy since then that taught me that. And this is before I knew about open space, right? And in understanding that, so we've always stated that. So it's always a surprise. We just had another birthday party over the weekend. I do with 5 kids. We do mashups all the time because there's just a lot of birthdays, and it's like, oh, some people couldn't make it, and then we have all these other people show up, and it was fun. We had a lot of time. It was like a surprise, and it was the right people. Everyone, parents and adults. Us adults got tired because they did a lot of the activities, or parents versus kids, and they whooped us up. But hey.
You should have thrown down over a jigsaw though, for sure.
Well, we played dodgeball, gaga ball, and capture the flag. Little people are just so quick and sneaky.
But I like when you were talking, Hamsa, I had this moment that like it just made me think about like using the law of mobility in our own lives. And I remember you when like, because my wife has a lot of kind of like dietary needs, right? It's like gluten-free, and she doesn't eat fish, she doesn't like fish. It's a bunch of stuff. And so often, if we're at a place we don't know, and you go to like a cafe or a restaurant, and what we would used to do is go and sit down and get the menu, and then but you sort of all you used to feel trapped by that, because it's like, oh no, we don't want to eat here anymore. We know that there's probably another good place down the street, or we want to go check those out, but we're sat down, and something about our social pressure is is kind of holding you there. So we would wind up actually eating at a place where it's like, oh, I don't think we want to be here anymore because of the fear of leaving. And now, I mean, I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. Like, I like people who run cafes and things, but now I won't sit down. It's like, I'm going to go in, I'm going to ask them for a menu, I'm going to stand there. And if we choose to leave, then it's kind of like we choose to leave. There's nothing making us stay there. It's just right now, we just don't feel like this. It's probably nothing against the place. It's just doesn't have what we need right then. And so I hadn't even thought about that change in me that's happier over time to practice that, which is, sort of there is no offense. It is just like we're choosing to be mobile right now instead.
Exactly. It's almost like you have to run against the current of the conditioning we've been through as a society, in terms of there's always this pressure, or there's unspoken rules, and like what you can and can't do in any social situations, or so yeah, it is freeing in that sense, in that that you have a choice in, the law of 2 feet, in terms of you can physically move yourself out of that situation. So yeah, but it's interesting how also we've been nudged into doing certain things, right?
Right, because they try and sit you down really fast. That was when you were talking about that. I'm like, they actually try and restrict your mobility by getting you to sit down and having that pressure on you that you're actually, you're at a table, you're taking a table, and it's more of a, it inhibits your sort of, you have to be more assertively mobile in that moment to resist that sort of pressure that kind of gets put on by these little nudges. Yeah, that's what I thought too. I was like, you sneaky, sneaky people. I don't like you as much anymore.
Being held hostage and prisoner when you can choose to walk away.
Yeah, there are no actual bars on that door, right? Social
right?
ones.
There's no bars. So as we get ready to move and go into closing, let's do a little bit of that here. 24 hours. What what ahas, what learnings do you have? What actions do you take forward? Hamza, Dean.
Do you want to go first, Hamsa?
Yes, please.
Mine came out of Circle C closed with a spiral diary. And one of the questions was, what I think it was something like, what questions are you having right now? And mine was about how we bring what's inside this to outside, because obviously we're a community, and I mean, I'm, as this goes on, I'm feeling very close to this community. And then I feel like I go to my clients and to people who aren't my clients, it's kind of big world. And in here is like so safe and you have these conversations where I can see how under certain circumstances, things we're talking about can flip into the lives of these organizations and these people that I'm working with. But they're not ready for it. Like the things it would take to make that, the sort of possible for them, they're not ready for. And so my sort of, for me, the takeaway is, how do we bring more of this, either bring more people into this or spread this so it's sort of, it's more, I don't know about accessible is the right word, but we just get more permeation at the edges. There's kind of more of it going out and having more of an impact. Because I think, I can see the benefits, but there's so many people who can't understand what really lives underneath it a little bit in order to get its value, I think. Does that make sense?
Definitely. What about you, Hamza? Or do you want me to go?
Yeah, you're welcome to go as well.
All right, that means you're closing us out then.
Happy to do so.
I'm actually going to yes and Dean in that the biggest thing for me as we're exploring the future of work, Hamza, you and I have talked about this too, is that this is for everyone. It's not just for knowledge workers, it's for everyone. Like this, the invitation is out there for everyone. So how do we invite other workers in to experience what could it be? I think they're exploring that. That's why this great resignation exists. They're looking for something more. And maybe we can help with that, to hone into that, to give them language around that and understand what that could be. But I'm really excited to see how people are moving and thinking. First with there was already kind of a breakaway with young people thinking differently about it. And I'm a lot viewing audience, I'm a lot older than I look. Young people with people younger than me thinking about like how they work, right? And then now everyone's thinking about how they work, no matter what age they are, and saying I want something different. And I think that's a great conversation, saying that that's for me too. So I'm excited to see what that looks like. I'm also enjoying us having a consideration and not having just a Western perspective around it. As I've talked to multiple people during these 24 hours and how like what's possible based upon their context, the country that they live in, where there's a different system of government, right? Maybe there's classism or gender issues around work and how they persevere against those things, and us having understanding about those complexities. So I think there's definitely more to explore. The conversation isn't over. And what action I take away from this is remain curious. For me, as this is like start thinking about, we always saying like, who else do we invite? Who else hasn't been a part of this conversation? And we continue to invite more and more communities here. And I'm looking forward to like us ideating around that together, Hamza, and with the rest of the community, is see how do we reach those souls. So that's pretty exciting.
It's great. Yes. Hello, Dominic. So we're just doing share outs of our experience over the past 24 hours. So I'd like to yes and both Dean and April. I think, to me, it's about one of the, I guess, recognitions over the past 24 hours has been that sometimes, yes, we bring together diverse practitioners from different, functions and fields and domains and whatnot. But when we talk about, open space, new ways of working, liberating structures, and so on, it's not so much that we are tribed into this in terms of, we are, this is us and this is the best way of doing things. And like, we need to sort of initiate everybody else into this way of doing things. But I think to really, again, to scale and to get buy-in and to influence maybe a wider group of people and invite more perspectives into the conversation and shape what that could look like in terms of what we all want. It really starts with what April was saying before, which is inquiry, right? Starting with the question, what is, if why is it growth at all costs? Why is making money so core and so important to everybody's goals as individuals, as teams, as organizations? What is that doing for us? Starting with inquiry and again, really just getting to the root cause of motivations. Why is it top down? Why is it not more participatory in nature in terms of a hierarchy, perhaps? It comes from that need for control. Why? So I think, really coming from that place of inquiry, starting to, again, plant the seeds for both individual leadership journeys as well as more team-based and organizational sort of evolutions towards that future. It does start with asking questions, and it is going to be an evolution, not so much a revolution, because it is a process of unlearning in some cases that we have to go through as collectives in different contexts. So it's been about how do we my takeaway has been that it starts with inquiry, it starts with inviting more perspectives to really meaningfully scale these discussions and these co-creations that we've been sort of playing around with over the past 24 hours. And in truly taking the unimagination somewhere to a place of action and to start that journey. So that's been some of my takeaways as well. So I'd love to also invite, just before we hop off, Dominic to share if you have any takeaways from the past 24
Dominic.
hours.
Yeah, it's either way. Either way is
Okay.
fine. Thank you, April. And I also can't believe that April and Dean, you guys are still up, because I saw you almost 10 hours ago. But yeah, so my takeaways are patience. It's crazy how work hardened I was into moving at a pace of by the end of the day, by the end of the month, by the end of the quarter. And I think that it lives, like, there's a reason for that. I started in manufacturing. That's where 90% of my experience is. And I think that cadence, I'm having to do a lot of unlearning of living by that cadence to participate in open spaces like this. Like, I have a Gantt chart for the house projects that I'm doing. We're like overlaying that with holiday schedules and birthdays throughout the year. So I'm saying, like, we can complete painting the house by this date, and I can build a retaining wall by this date, and I'm going to need help from these friends by this date.
Dominic, was it you who said you have your laundry baskets as
I have a
boards?
Kanban system for the laundry baskets because I'm tired of losing my wife's socks inside of my shirts. Like, those have to be separated. But this me unlearning how to work at that pace of the customer ship date and major milestones throughout the year is really making me reflect on how I can, like, shift my mind to work for the future career. And I still think that, like, delivery still has to be an aspect of that, but the delivery could change based on the way that we're working in the future. So I think that it's been really difficult. Like I've had to really focus to listen in and participate on these conversations because I'm so ingrained in ship that now. Like it's on the truck, but you have to make this change to a physical product, and then it needed to get to the customer 2 days ago. So I love the pace of all of this.
Mm.
If that makes sense.
Makes total sense to me.
And what action are you going to take forward for yourself?
I think it's a twofold thing. I think I have to integrate into other communities because I'm realizing the importance of education. So I want to learn more about this. So I have to get into more communities that do this. But I also have never done it alone. Like I think that doing it together is going to be important. So I need people physically close to me that also want to be in this. The internet helps, Zoom helps, but like I have a couple friends that I know are interested in the rooms and discussions that I was in, and I have to find ways to market it to them so that they can carve out time to also intellectually think about this. Everybody's had those friends throughout life or college, and you're like, we work so well together, like we think the same. I need to get those people in to kind of create some sense of like not validation, but there's like this agency of like, if you're going to go to this meeting, I'm going to go too. It helps you like stay consistent. I think that I can like piggyback off of them. So those are my actions. Jump into more communities, pull some friends along with me.
Awesome. Well, this is our last live from the event, but we're not done yet. And if you're interested in being a host for Future of Work 24 Hours Live, let us know. You can go to our, you'll be able to go to our website. We'll put some links associated with this live for you to understand how, or if you want to be a guest, let us know. And Dominic, hey, we already start looking for volunteers for the next year. And I'll use Hamsa's words. She said, the reason why she's been a part of this is because she gets to live out and practice what we're talking about, future of work here. I'm summing up. I don't know if I got your words exactly, but I remember a lot what she says. Do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think we are in some ways living in the future of work, in future of work 24 hours, and in the way we're organized, and the way we look at teams, the budgeting, like even team-based budgeting and experimenting with that, how we, are able to sort of actually bring our whole selves to the space and this community. So I think in many ways we are living in the future of work, and it's been a messy journey. It's an ongoing journey as well, with lots of trials and tribulations. But I think that's the beauty of it, that we're learning together as we go along. So yeah, it's why I'm continued to drawn to this community each day.
So we're going to say goodbye. And if you want to be a part of this community in any way, our next conference next year, we'll see you next May. And also, we're going to be going live every week. And we'll see you then. Bye.
Thanks, guys.